So in this video, welcome back by the way, and I hope that you've been enjoying this information. I'm very passionate about it. I'm trying to articulate it best I can, but there's just so much information in my head, and I'm like, going back and forth on like how deep should I go without wasting your time. So if any of you have questions, you're always welcome to reach out to me personally. But in essence, I hope that what I've been sharing up until now makes some form of sense, and I do hope that it resonates with you. I want to, in this video, talk a little bit about what actually creates your vibration, because I think that's crucial. We now know that everything is energy. We now know that everything vibrates, and we now know that what vibrates together harmonizes together. So now the question becomes, how do you actually influence your own vibration? And it's actually very, very simple, right? Once you understand how your mind and body works, then this will all start to make sense. So, vibration. We've got, this is obviously super crucial, because what we vibrate, we will start to experience. Why? Because everything that vibrates harmonizes. So how do we actually influence this so that we can experience more of what we prefer? That's the question. So the first thing that influences your vibration is your thoughts. Now, this sounds simple, but here's a question. How many thoughts do you think you have a day? The average person thinks of roughly 90,000 things per day, different thoughts. And that's 90K, right? And roughly about 90% of them are repetitive. So not only are they repetitive, but it's mostly negative. Why? Because of the news that we watch, the things that we listen to, other people who are struggling, who's telling us life is hard. All of that impacts our thoughts, and it makes us think the same thoughts in a negative way. So we basically think the same negative thoughts up to 80,000 times a day, if not more, depending on whether you're someone who just has a very noisy brain or not. And all of that starts to affect your body's vibration. This is why the most successful people talk about how to control your mind. This is why the mindset is so important. Mindset is not just a motivating thing. Like people think, if I've got my mind right, I will be motivated to do something. And yes, that is true, but it is not the only reason why controlling your mind is so important. Controlling your mind is actually mostly important for the fact that you start to create your vibration. And if you have a negative vibration, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have a negative experience. So in theory, we need to understand that our thoughts start to create our reality. What you think about most of the time, you become. And the moment you start to understand that your mind is a sword that you're fighting a battle with, you can decide how you want to use that sword. Do you want to use it for good, or do you want to use it for negative things? Because most people use it for negative things. They think they're going to get screwed over, they think they're going to fail, they think they're going to lose money, they think this is not going to work, they think this is a waste of time, and guess what? That is what you start to experience. Not because you knew better, not because you were smart, but because that was the reality that you proactively created. Because that's how you create reality, proactively. Most people react to reality. They're not aware that they're actually creating this experience. So what happens is the moment they experience something, they react. And they usually react in a negative way. So they react negatively. That is a minus with a circle over it, if you didn't know. So if they react negatively, guess what? You're going into a downward spiral, because then you start to experience more negative things. So this is how people get caught up in a loop, and a negative downward spiral, because They think negative things, more negative things happen. And the moment something good happens, they go, oh, this is too good to be true. The moment they get a bit of money, the moment a business starts taking off, the moment there's a chick that says, yes, I want to go on a date, the moment they find a guy that treats them like gold, they go, you know what, he's probably cheating on me. He's probably cheating on me, he's going to cheat on me, everybody's cheated on me. This is too good to be true. He must be looking for someone better, fitter, smarter, more intelligent, with a better job. And then guess what happens? That starts to happen. Because that is what you're proactively creating, thanks to the law of attraction, thanks to the law of vibration, call it what you want, thanks to science, thanks to how reality is constructed, thanks to how God, the creator of the universe, created this universe. He gave us free will. When I say He, the creator, basically said, hey, there's the playground, you've got free will, do what you want. Jesus said the kingdom of God is within you. Meaning that what is within you, he also said, as within, so without. So what you vibrate inside, you start to experience outside. He also said, do unto your neighbor as you do unto yourself. Because if you do something good, it's going to come back. What you reap, you will sow. Energy in, energy out, energy in. You start to see how religious teachings are actually proving science in general, and how science is actually proving spiritual and religious teachings as well. This is why I love it so much. So the first thing that creates your reality is your thoughts. And you need to learn how to control your thoughts, essentially. Why is that so important? Not only does it affect your vibration, but because it affects your emotion. So we need to understand that thoughts affect your emotions. You think something negative, what happens? Your body starts to change its physiology. So literally, so literally, your body starts to change its chemistry based on what you've been thinking. If you think that something bad has happened right now, your body will start to shut down, cortisol will spike, blood pressure will rise, heart rate will rise, and before you know it, you're going to be in a panic mode. That is why dreams feel so real, because your brain is perceiving that reality and it's sending those thoughts back into your body. The emotions then boil to the surface, and then you go, it felt so real. Yeah, because your brain did all of that. Your brain is amazing. It is the most powerful thing in this world, essentially, which is the third dimension. And your thoughts stem from your brain, and that's why your brain is so important, and that starts to create emotion. And emotion, if we had to give it a score, we'll give it a score just now on how these two things impact your vibration. We'll categorize it in terms of importance, and then it all starts to make sense as well. So thoughts impact your emotions, and emotions obviously start to change your body's physiology and body chemistry, and that starts to then further impact and change your energetic vibration. That's why people say that person looks a bit low energy. Well, it's because he's low vibration. He's depressed. People who are depressed vibrate like this. People who are happy vibrate like this. High vibration and low vibration. So in theory, once you understand that everything is just energy and frequency, the question becomes, how do you manipulate energy and frequency in order to experience the reality that you would prefer? Simple as that. And the first thing is thoughts. The second thing is emotion. So the moment you feel gratitude, you are vibrating high. And if you stay in that high vibration, within a few days or even minutes, someone can message you with a positive message that could take anything from literally 30 seconds to 60 days, depending on how strong that vibration is. So in essence, that's how you start to create your reality from an emotional viewpoint. So this is why so many people talk about gratitude journals. Just start with listing what you're grateful for. You'll start to feel better. And then all of a sudden, good things start to happen. They start to get their life back. They start to lose weight. They start to find a better job. They start to maybe start a business. Things are going well. And then they're on an upward spiral. And the moment someone convinces you that things are not going to work out and you're not strong enough mentally to say, F you, I know, I've got this, I create my reality, I'm not a victim of circumstance, I can do what I want to do, then you either stay in that high vibration and more success comes to you, or you go into a negative vibration and you go into a downward spiral and more negative shit starts to happen. That's why when people's businesses go backwards, some of them goes backwards quickly and they lose everything because they're just in a downward spiral. There wasn't the control of, hey, I'm in the middle of the spiral, I decide right now that I'm going to change my vibration so that tomorrow and the next 3 days and the next 3 weeks and the next 3 months can start to match my vibration of gratitude and abundance and love and just happiness and joy. The more you feel those things emotionally, the more you start to attract more of that into your life. And then the last thing is, and this is the most important one, is belief. So the actual belief, because these two things, thoughts, emotions, that creates your belief system, what you believe. Why do I say that? Because every single thought and every single emotion starts to penetrate your body and your mind and your chemistry to such a point where that becomes what you believe. And if you believe you can do it, and if you believe you can't, in both situations, you are 100% right. Wasn't that Henry Ford? Pretty sure it was Henry Ford. And that was his, he understood this. He understood that these secret societies existed. And guess what? He was one of the, I think it was a Freemason, or maybe it was the brother, I'm not sure which one he was a part of, but he learned this. And this is what he said. If you study Henry Ford and all the successful people, Thomas Edison, J.P. Morgan, Andrew Carnegie, like all these people, Napoleon Hill wrote about this in the book, Think and Grow Rich. Think, thoughts, think abundance, and it will happen. Not today, maybe, not tomorrow, but the stronger the belief, the shorter the time frame. So, if you believe that, you're over here, okay, and you believe 50%, hypothetically, that you can become a millionaire, then guess what? It's going to be a very long journey. Maybe one day, 20 years from now, you become a billionaire. A millionaire. And maybe a billionaire, who knows? So, 20 years from now, you become a millionaire and you go, I knew it, I made it. But that is with 50% belief. With 100% belief, this most likely could have been in 12 months. That is essentially how vibration works. And let me tell you, this is exactly what happened to me and with us as a company. Because in 2021, I was just tired of the COVID situation. We didn't grow the way we wanted to. And I said then, I was like, 2021, we're going to grow. And we spent $10,000 on a mentorship program. $10,000. That was 160,000 Rand that time, 2021. And I mean, you can be as rich as you want. It's a lot of money. And at that time, we were doing 300K a month, I think, with the agency. So I took 50% of our revenue, not our profit, because we were making 20% profit or whatever, 25, whatever. Long story short, I took 50% of my revenue. I think I had like $500,000 in the bank at that time. We put a deposit on the house, and then I put 150,000 Rand into a mentorship program. We had almost zero money left in the bank account. I had enough money for 1 month's salaries. And I said to myself, this is it. This is going to work. My belief went to 100%. 100%. I believed it. And in the past, when situations like that came along, when I bought courses, I didn't believe it. When I bought programs, I had like 30% belief. Why? Because those programs were cheap, and I was like, well, what is this information really going to do for me? Or it was like, well, most of these things I already know. But I bought a program for literally $10,000, 10K, and I was like, cool, we're going to make this work. I studied 2 hours a day, was on every single group and coaching call I could be, and I realized most of the information I kind of knew. However, there was about, I'd say 10% of the puzzle. 10% of the puzzle on how to build a successful business that I didn't know. And this is why that 10% was so valuable. It was 100% worth it. to pay $10,000. Because what happened was, once I understood that last 10%, our business went from 300K to literally 900K in 12 months. In 12 months, we went from 3 million a year to, I think we did 9.2 million that same year. That is literally 3x growth, 300% growth in one year, because of the fact that I had 100% belief. There was nothing that I was doubting. And now when I set goals, I ask myself, how much do I believe it? And like I said, if I hear a goal and my body doesn't feel comfortable with it, I know I don't believe it 100% yet. And when someone goes, can you do $1 billion in revenue? I go, yes, but there's about 45%, 50% belief that we can do it. And my goal is to get to 100% belief, because when it gets to 100% belief, I know it will manifest, whether it's today, tomorrow, next year, but it will happen, and it will happen quicker than I thought possible. And that's just how my mind works. And that's what's worked for me, and that's what's worked for many, actually almost every single successful person under the sun. Most of the people who become successful don't actually know any of this. They just do it unconsciously. They, by coincidence, just do all these things unconsciously. They control their thoughts, they control their emotions, and they believe it's possible. There's Elon Musk. He's got SpaceX, he's got Tesla, he's got the Boring Company, he's now got X, and somehow he makes it work. Why? Because he believes it's freaking possible. And in theory, that is what controls your vibration, is your thoughts, your emotions, and your beliefs. So if we have to essentially pinpoint what is most important from top to bottom, it is your belief. Your belief is the most important thing, because it is a result of all the thoughts that you've had up until now and all the emotions that you've had up until now. Okay? And that essentially creates your whole vibration. Then secondly, it's your emotions. And then thirdly, it's your thoughts. Okay, so this is the most important, this is second, and this is first. But here's the kicker. It all starts with your thoughts. All of this, you can't have an emotion without thinking. Like, you have to think and realize something in order to feel it emotionally. And then the more you do these two, the more you start to believe in something. And the more you start to believe in something, the more that becomes your reality, because that's essentially what creates your whole vibration. The last thing is, what we need to remember, is action. This is the most important one, but you're not going to take action if you don't believe it's possible, right? So this is the paradox. Like, number 4 is action. Now, remember I said that we live in a third dimension, and that dimension essentially is full of matter, like a lot of matter, dense matter. It's physical, right? Let's just make it, it's physical. We live in a physical reality, just for clarity purposes. And because we live in a physical reality, you have to take action. You have to do. You have to move. You have to speak. You have to send emails. You have to meet people. You have to do all of these things, because this all is action. And if you take action with the necessary belief that it's possible, with the feeling, the emotion of success and gratitude, and you keep thinking positive things, that action will result in the success that you want. Those are dollar signs. And that is really the 4 things that create your vibration. It is your thoughts, how your thoughts affect your emotions and your body's chemistry. That starts to affect your beliefs, because if you felt the emotional pain of something, then the belief would be that that thing that we experienced is bad and we should never do that again. Some people get business partners, they think they're going to get screwed over, they do get screwed over, they deal with the losses, the emotional pain, and then when they're in the next business opportunity, they go, I believe him. I don't know if this is going to work. Ah, man. And then they start to vibrate that, and then they got screwed over again. And that's why you get people who get screwed over all the time, because they can't change their belief. They can't change their belief about their situation. They don't realize that they've created this scenario, this experience for themselves by how they thought, with their emotions and their beliefs that they've taken. And then it's essentially action, because the action then becomes survival, scared. You say things that you don't mean. You start to hide certain information because you don't want to share too much. You start to get a bit secretive. You don't communicate and articulate yourself the way that you would normally do with someone else who you don't trust. And all those actions start to manifest. And my friends, that's really how you create your reality. More on this later, because there is more to it. But that is the essence of this video. Hope it helped. And yeah, much love.